Well, thanks for that, Evelyn. Extremely disturbing images there. And the reality is we come back to this time and time again. I'm delighted to have in studio with me a man who could make a change now. He's a senior advisor to the presidency for food security and climate change. James Nyoro, welcome into studio. Have to say, last time you were here, we were in a debate with the now governor for Kiambu,
Sure.
William Kabogo. It was a little bit hot. You stepped out of being the head of Rockefeller for Africa to try your hand at politics. Now you're advising government. What have you settled into the office? What's it like? What's it been like?
Well, thank you very much, first of all, for having me here. Yes, 2012, I just decided that I'm not going to work for international organization, a prestigious job, because obviously Kenya is one of those countries that is left behind in Millennium Development Goals. And I said, why don't I offer myself to work for this country? Mm-hmm. And for 7 months, I spent trotting all over Kiambu. Of course, I didn't make it as governor, but out of the wisdom of His Excellency the President and His Excellency the Deputy President, they asked me to come so that I can give a strategic direction on food security in Kenya, with respect to water, because we are going to do a lot of irrigation on that, and also putting climate change into perspective. So I've really settled well, and there's a lot of goodwill from the President and his Deputy on that.
It's good to hear there's goodwill, because the situation is dire. We're back here again trying to raise, relief food and supplies for Turkana. We've been through this as a country before. So many people have contributed to trying to make a change. The question is, James, we have intelligent, capable people who are doing amazing things at global level. How is it that we can't transform our own country? What's the problem?
You see, the problem is that if you do the same thing the same way, you should not expect different results. This year, 2013, the Global Food Security Index by the Economic Intelligence Unit has just released a report. And out of 103 countries, Kenya is rated number 80 in terms of food insecurity. If you look at countries like Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, Ghana, Botswana, Uganda, those countries are doing much better than us. Now, the countries that are not doing better than us started 2 years ago a Marshall Plan on food security. So you're talking about countries like Nigeria, Botswana, I talked about Botswana. Ethiopia, of all countries, is actually putting in a Marshall Plan. So the problem really is that Kenya has not had a game changer.
We needed the Marshall Plan. And the countries like Brazil are key examples of what can happen when a government decides we're going to change a country that was really food insecure a few decades ago, that is now an example to the world. So let me ask this. What is being done to transform the situation? What's happening?
What is being done is that, like I said, we have to start doing things differently. And for a long time, we were only giving lip service to agriculture. What is happening today, and you give credit to Felix Kosgei, because today, more than any other time, you have fertilizer available with farmers in January, February. A lot of times fertilizer was coming late. Mm-hmm. But that is only a very small bit, and we thank the ministry for what they are doing so far. But the point really is to have a game changer in terms of irrigation. We have a lot of water. Turkana, as you are showing, they are sitting on water. Even before they discovered the service water, the government had a plan which was only in paper that they could do 75,000 acres along the Kerio Valley, the Kerio River, going all the way to Takwel. Mm-hmm. Nothing was done. We tried Bura, we tried Hora. It was a total disaster. So the government has now decided, and this is what we are working on. Going forward, we are going to put in 500,000 acres of maize under irrigation, where you do 2 crops in 1 year. For the first time, we are going to bridge the gap between the supply and demand, what we eat, and also we will also become climate resilient, because this thing is about drought. So we have to have rain-fed.
We have to prepare,
yes,
and
exactly.
We have to react. Not react, we have to be prepared
rather than
yes. reactive. So for Turkana, the big question, when do we start seeing communities who are able to live dignified lives? And a big problem in Turkana as well, of course, is the infrastructure, is the lack of infrastructure, the difficulty to get from one area to another. So even markets that are established are very difficult for these traditionally pastoralist communities to access. When do we start to see transformation on the ground?
I think we are going to see that very quickly, because for any other reason, if, for lack of any other reason, we know that Turkana is sitting on major resources. And for sure, the road between Kapenguria all the way to Rodwa is in the government plan. In fact, going all the way to Ethiopia and to Sudan. So we are going to see that as a matter of urgency. But much more important, I think, is to realize that it does not matter. Even after putting 75,000 acres of maize, 100,000 acres of maize in Turkana, the people do not have the income. Those kids that you saw there, their parents do not have income to buy the food.
What is the answer?
And the answer is the resources that they are sitting in, we should be able to divert that so that you can have cash transfers to the people in Turkana, and let that be money sent to them through either mobile phone or some other accessible ways, and then the private sector will be able to deliver that food to the village. Two, one of the things, if you look at the countries that have improved on food security, school feeding program is a must. Because first of all, it gives the kids incentives to go to school, but also it provides them with nutrition, because malnutrition also affects the ability of those children to shine. So school food feeding programs, cash transfers. So we have to think about how the resources that are currently in Turkana, including some of the monies that those companies are paying today, we start to see how that is transferred to the community. But at the same time, within the next 1-2 years, we should be able to do between 75,000 and 100,000 acres of maize.
1 to 2 years. We'll be keeping an eye on that. And it's very important to have that holistic perspective, the education as well, because again, it's education that will raise these children out of the poverty and into innovative ways of dealing with pastoralism and the rest of it. Exactly. Let's come to agribusiness. So we look to government to deal with food security issues, but there's a lot of opportunity in agriculture today. Perhaps some would even argue more than there is in technology and many other areas. What would you advise Kenyan farmers or people thinking of going into farming?
When we say that this irrigation program by government is a game changer, it's exactly that, because the opportunities that you are talking about, whether we are talking about producing soybeans or macadamia or all the commodities that are in high demand worldwide, we cannot do that because farmers are struggling to have an acre of maize in Chwere in Bugoma. And why it is a game changer is, as soon as we are through ensuring that this food security thing is sorted out, the lads in Trans Nzoia, in Uasin Gishu, in Nandi will then move to high value crops. Some of the thinking that we are having, because food security is not just about food, it's about having money in your pocket, then you can decide which food to buy. And sometimes we limit our thinking when we say food security is just to have maize. No. What we are doing is to start from the market. And the discussion we are having, and very soon you are going to hear this, we are starting from the market and saying, how much soybeans is the government, is private sector demanding? How much macadamia that goes not into the macadamia nuts, but maybe into the macadamia chocolate? How much of potatoes? How much of this? And then you start from there, link the farmers to the companies. Remember, in 2012, Julia, you can remember, in Addis at the World Economic Forum,
yes,
when the new Alliance for Food Security and Nutrition was launched by G8, the same meeting, Grow Africa, came up, and it created a forum for the private sector, both local and international, to link up with small-scale farmers so that they can have markets ready. And then farmers will produce knowing that we are producing this for Coca-Cola, this for Pepsi-Cola, and this for
market.
Nestle.
We don't have to deal with the trials and tribulations of accessing market.
In terms of domestic consumption, our population is growing at the rate of 2.5 per annum, 1 million people every day. Urban centers are consuming more vegetables, more fruits, more meat. What are we doing once we are satisfied with the maize? What are we doing to meet our nutrition, our protein and vitamin level? So there's a lot of demand, even locally, live about internationally.
So there's huge potential, and in that demand lies potential. My final question to you, James, you've given us a view of the medium-term plan, short to medium-term, 1 to 2 years. We're going to see this transformation through irrigation. But tell us, when will we see relief for these children, these mothers who right now are struggling? I know there was relief food that went out just this past week, but when do we start to see, and not just in Turkana, but also in eastern, various parts, coast, various parts of the country where people are struggling, when do we start to say they have food?
I think there was a challenge to start with, because there was, you know, for the first time we have in counties. And therefore, we had the national government and the county government, and all of them are empowered. They have to cater for the drought-stricken and the famine-stricken population. Now, that has been sorted out. There has been several meetings to sort that one out. And what is happening now is maize and food is being mobilized from where Sapras region, where NCPB is having stores, to the deficit. So there's maize now sitting in Rodwa. The question now is, how do you mobilize from Rodwa to the small villages within Turkana? So that has already been done. The cabinet, as you heard the president say, passed 4.5 billion shillings, 4.3 billion shillings to ensure that this is taken, because this is only the beginning. Remember, the rains will come in May. So this is only the beginning. So the coordination between now will ensure that such kids at least will get some food.
Have relief, that they have relief, and that's all important. Thank you so much for joining us. James, the rain is with us. The rains have come. So we move from this story to another one, and Asante for joining us in studio. We move to a story now in Mombasa, and the relatives of a 42-year-old man believed to have been arrested by police following the chaos that rocked Masjid Musa Mosque in Majengo, Mombasa last week, now say that they are unable to trace him. The family is asking the police to produce the man. This came even as a section of Jubilee leaders asked parents at the coast to help stop the increasing radicalization of children in the area. Let's have a look.